Welcome to Syndicate One's take on a picture kucha. For those of you that don't know what that is, simply put, it is a story through pictures. Amplats, which is 80% owned by Anglo American, is the world's second largest supplier of gold platinum group metals, PGMs, after surrendering first position to market competitor Sibanye-Stillwater, and is listed on the JSE headquartered in Johannesburg. One of the mandates assigned to Natascha Viljoen, the new CEO of Anglo American Platinum, is to grow the company to a meaningful size, with the open-cast Mogalakwena mine being a major part of that strategy. This analysis is based on the Business Day Live article entitled New CEO Natascha Viljoen Wants to Grow Amplats to a Meaningful Size, which was published on the 23rd of June 2020. Structural changes in the industry since 2009 have resulted in declining margins and cash flow generation. Backed by their vision to be a global leader in PGMs from resource to market, in 2013, Amplats responded by announcing a fundamental transformation to better position the mining company for a sustainable future. The strategy employed was to improve operational performance by restructuring the business and removing loss-making production. They did this by selling off and repositioning the portfolio of mining assets. By focusing strategically on value and not volume, the miner repositioned their portfolio by exiting certain assets and capitalized on market development opportunities. Further focus was also given to building positive relationships with all stakeholders, while operations concentrated on optimizing their potential by driving efficiencies. In 2019, the company reported record results in both the production and health and safety aspects, and in a surprise move, Chris Griffith, the CEO who guided the company to the return of handsome profits, was seen to step down in order to pursue other career opportunities. The Anglo American Platinum Board announced shortly thereafter that Natascha Viljoen, previous group head of processing for Anglo American, would be appointed as the CEO, following the decision of Chris Griffith to step down. Anglo American Platinum chairperson Norman Mazimba described Viljoen as a seasoned senior executive. She knows us and our business well, having worked with our executive team over the last 5 years in leading the changes required to transform the performance of and commercial value of our processing operations. In 2020, Amplats forecast it would have refined an output of between 1.3 million and 1.6 million ounces of PGMs, which is 900,000 ounces less than a normal year. This was due to the breakdown of 2 critical plants early in the year as a result of inadequate asset maintenance and reliability concerns. Amplats is dealing with the difficulties in making sellable metals for a volatile pandemic-affected market because of a highly unusual breakdown of its 2 converter plants in its processing pipeline, which slot in between the furnaces and refineries. Viljoen recently said in an interview that she was given a clear mandate from the board to dominate shareholder Anglo when she took up the leadership role at Amplats. The first was to take Amplats beyond the best industry global standards, ensuring the group's assets and equipment were operated above those levels, which would include a much higher standard of maintenance to ensure reliability and sustainability of operating performances at its mine's processing units. The second was to grow the company to a meaningful size, which is yet to be determined. It's clear that meaningful size has yet to be understood, as Viljoen has a non-committal attitude towards it, and could only say, it's about creating the best value for our shareholders. It's not necessarily about being the biggest. If the outcome is being the biggest, we won't mind, but that's not the target. In her article titled 3 Simple Habits to Improve Your Critical Thinking, Helen Lee Boyer states that critical thinking is one of the basic decision-making and problem-solving techniques. She goes on to say that this type of thinking is the practice of gathering, analyzing, and evaluating information in a methodical manner. Essentially, this is a process for thinking clearly through several options and arriving at the best solution. Schumacher, Crump, and Howland identify 6 critical skills which allow leaders to think strategically and effectively navigate the unknown. The critical thinking framework applied with the context of the SLDM coursework was also used to critically analyze and evaluate the mandate that was given to the new Amplatz CEO. Some insights from the application of this critical thinking model included a better understanding of what the actual problem was. The new CEO had been given a clear mandate to grow Amplatz to a meaningful size, essentially to expand. However, PGMs, or platinum group metals, demand is volatile and prices depressed. Also, the company recently sold a number of Tier 1 assets to competing company Sibanye-Stillwater in an effort to return to profitability, thus significantly downscaling, and yet the new agenda is to expand. And lastly, the understanding of meaningful size and stakeholder value appear to be vague and not well understood by the current incumbent, raising the question about how an important decision can be made if the expected outcome is not well defined. The critical thinking framework also shed light on why this problem was complex and difficult. Volatile commodity prices, inadequate focus on asset reliability, and maintenance, creation of maximum value for all stakeholders, and the largest PGM reserve in the world calling for the resource to be exploited to their maximum. However, the prices and demand are seen to be dwindling. There is additional complexity given several stakeholders and that their decisions in the sector have long-term consequences. Furthermore, operating during a pandemic and adhering to the rules and regulations applied to businesses is challenging. The future is always uncertain. However, the dynamic has shifted significantly as we try to navigate the complexities of operating in uncharted waters that the pandemic has presented. Dealing with the unionized workforce during a period of hypersensitivity to employee rights and balancing the operational requirements, responsibilities to the country, as well as ensuring one does not forget the social impact of this virus on employees, most of which would be high risk in terms of pre-existing conditions. The Mintzberg model on multiple timeframes and the Mayoritz and Liu framework of integrative thinking were also applied to the identified article. These frameworks allowed for the use of multiple channels of information to be considered in an effort to gather and discern key signals from both the competitive or external and the organizational or internal environments. These frameworks also allowed for the merging of diverse perspectives and expertise to be considered in the development of the strategic response. Analysis of the problem indicated a complex and difficult strategic decision was required. Amplatz recently sold off assets and as a result became the second largest producer in PGM. The sale of assets was a result of poor commodity prices and a volatile market. With the return to profitability to the company, they are now considering expanding their mines to produce more at a lower cost. However, markets remain volatile, commodity prices depressed, and asset reliability and maintenance not optimized. Furthermore, the primary use of PGMs is in the autocatalysts in motor vehicles to curb greenhouse emissions. The market for diesel and petrol-fueled vehicles is declining. However, there is an increase in fuel cells and hydrogen-powered vehicles, which also use PGMs as a catalyst. Expanding low-cost assets would produce more PGMs and allow for greater sales if the demand is there, and commodity prices stabilize. However, expanding has in the past had unintended consequences, and should the commodity prices and demand not increase, Amplats would again sink into unprofitable cycles. Furthermore, asset reliability and maintenance is not optimal. Should Amplats be considering expanding if not all the assets are currently operating efficiently and effectively? Should Amplats be considering any expansion? What are the implications of growth if the workforce become infected with coronavirus and operations are forced to cease for weeks? What are the legal implications for the company in terms of their health and safety practices and their brand exposure? After her appointment as CEO in April 2020, amidst the COVID-19 pandemic and an unprecedented breakdown of critical equipment, Fullion commented, "It's about creating the best value for our shareholders. It's not necessarily about being the biggest. If the outcome is being the biggest, we won't mind, but that's not the target." With this in mind, in the back of critical thinking, Mintzberg and Meares and Liu frameworks, the problem identified was as follows.